إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. You alone we worship. وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. And you alone we ask for help. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. Na'budu is from ibadah. And what does ibadah mean? Worship. In the Arabic language, however, the word ibadah, it doesn't just mean worship. It has a very deep meaning. And ibadah, it means at-tadhallul lillah. To show humility, one's smallness before who? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To make oneself small, that I am nothing. To humble oneself, I need you, I need your help. To make oneself small, to humble oneself before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what ibadah is. This is why scholars have said that ibadah includes two things. First of all, it includes doing whatever that Allah has commanded. And secondly, staying away from whatever that Allah has forbidden. Because when will you obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When will you do whatever that He has commanded you? When you make yourself small. When you make yourself small, when you lower, when you submit. If you say, no, I'm not going to do this. Is that making yourself small? Is that making yourself humble? Not at all. So ibadah includes two things. Doing whatever that Allah has commanded, and secondly, staying away from whatever that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has forbidden. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. And just remember the word abd. When you think about the word ibadah. Abd. Abd is used for a slave. Who is a slave? An abd is a slave, a servant who is owned by his master. He's not hired, but rather he is owned. Is there a difference between being hired and being owned? If you're hired, you can say, I quit. But if you're owned, can you say, I quit? No. You know, like some people, they have a very mean boss and they're just waiting for the day when they can just go up to their boss and say, I quit. There you go. Give me a command and I'll do it. No. Right? So, a person who is hired can walk away any moment, but a person who is owned, a slave, he can never ever walk away. And a slave, what is his job description? Do whatever that the master has commanded. Whether you're tired, or sleeping, or hungry, it doesn't matter. You're going to do it. And if the master has said, don't do this, you're never going to do it. No matter who forces you, no matter who tells you. So all of us are who? Ibad Allah. The servants of Allah. So if we are the servants of Allah, then what does it mean we have to do? If Allah gives a command, what should our response be? I'm sorry, I find it too difficult. I choose not to do this. Can we say that? Can we? There's no way we can say that. Because we are owned by Allah. And you see, just like a slave, when he is owned by his master, he cannot hide from the master, he cannot go anywhere, he cannot, because the master has complete authority over him. Perhaps a slave can run away from the master, okay. But can we run away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We can never run away. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala challenges us in Surah Al-Rahman, to both human beings and the jinn, that if you are capable of getting out of the heavens and the earth, then try. You can never do that. You can never do that. It's not possible for you. So if we say, I choose not to do this, I'm sorry, I cannot follow this part of the religion, you think you're going to be left neglected. No. Allah has complete authority over us in this dunya. And if Allah does not hold us accountable now, does not recompense us for our actions now, He has Yawmuddin, when He alone will be the Malik. Maliki Yawmuddin. Whatever He decides on that day will happen. Our choice does not matter. Somebody else's request does not matter, because He is Maliki Yawmuddin. This is why it's so important that Iyyaka na'budu. You alone we worship. And remember, ibadah, what does it mean? At-tadhallul lillah. To make oneself small, to humble oneself before Allah. And this is why when we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what do? We put the most honorable part of our body, where? On the ground. The most honorable part of our body, what is that? Our face. But to show humility before Allah, what do? We put it where feet are. We put it on the ground. And we do this before who? Iyyaka, only you, only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Would we ever do something like that for another person? Would you ever put your head on the ground for another person? Even if somebody pays you, you wouldn't do that. You're like, why me? Who do you think you are? Why do you expect me to do this? Don't walk over me. Isn't it so? We never ever like to humble ourselves before people. This is why إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. You alone we worship.
إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ